My name is Promise Mkwananzi, the spokesperson of the Citizens Coalition for Change. I'm going to give you the context in which we are addressing this press conference. With me here is Gladys Hlachwayo, our Secretary for International Relations. We are also going to be joined by the President's Chief Election Agent, Advocate Charles Kwaramba, who is going to give us hard facts. Is here actually. Come on. So the team is complete. On my far left is Ellen Shiriedenga. She's the Deputy Secretary for Elections, the Elections Bureau, followed by Mai Tome. She's assisting with the elections, looking particularly at the incidences that have occurred. Then on my immediate left is Advocate Charles Kwaramba, the Presidential Chief Election Agent. I had already introduced Gladys Hlachwayo, who is our Secretary for International Relations. We are meeting in the context of unprecedented developments in our country. We want to express our gratitude to the SADC Observer Mission, Electoral Commission's Forum of SADC countries, the African Union Observer Mission, the Commonwealth Observer Mission, the European Union Observer Mission, and the Qatar Center Election Observer Mission for their impartiality, dedication, and tireless work in overseeing Zimbabwe's harmonized elections. Their collective efforts to uphold democratic values and provide an assessment for the electoral landscape are commendable. The election observer missions raised and confirmed a series of electoral malpractices which resonate with our own assessments. Number one, the absence of electoral reforms, a flawed and controversial delimitation exercise, misuse of the Maintenance of Peace and Order Act to curtail freedom of assembly and selectively applied restrictions, including the banning of opposition rallies. Recent amendments to the Criminal Law Codification and Reform Act restricting constitutionally guaranteed freedoms. Abuse of state resources, exorbitant nomination fees hindering political participation, concern over the judiciary's independence, ZEC's perceived lack of independence and transparency, absence of a transparent voters' roll, reports of violence including the tragic loss of Tinashe Chitsunge, alleged intimidation by entities such as FAS, concerns over postal and voting procedures, state media bias, voter suppression through alleged material shortages, reports of targeted harassments of domestic observers. Dr. Mumba's unwavering commitment to ensuring transparency in the elections was met with unfortunate threats, including death threats and intimidations, especially from ZANU-PF leaders and supporters. Such actions undermine democracy and we condemn these acts unequivocally. From the data availed to us through the V11, we are confident in our strong performance in both the parliamentary and council elections, as our agent will affirm, our chief election agent. Preliminary indications provide reason to believe that President Chamisa is in a favorable position for the presidential victory. We urge the Zimbabwe Election Commission to announce these results promptly and accurately. We call upon all Zimbabweans to maintain calm and peace during this period. We must stand united, vigilant against any efforts to subvert the will of the people. Post-election incidences. The notion of a peaceful election does not capture our experience, and we deeply regret to inform the public of various disturbing instances post the election. Honorable Solomon Hodera, Buyera South, was attacked by Ngonidashe Madukunye, a ZANU-PF candidate at Muzokomba Business Center, together with his chief election agent around 3 p.m. on the 24th of August 2023 during the counting. A police report has been made with reference number RRB 5293436-23. There was a case of arson in Buyera where our member Ellen Chakanetsa's house was burnt to ashes. Honorable Dorothy Msonza from Harare South and the agents were abducted at DDF Manyanye and brutally beaten. Our agents were chased away from the polling station. In Highlands, Dorothy Ziuchi and Nomusa Maradzika's house were pelted with stones. Reports were made with the RRB number 47299874. In Maramba Pfungwe, 13 of our members were attacked and had to seek refuge in Harare. The FAS organization reportedly threatened voters and enforced command voting. There have been multiple instances, more than 100 cases actually, of such malpractices. Traditional leaders in regions including Buyera, Mutasa, Sanyati, and more were reportedly
Right, that's what happened kunoku surface. Triple C vangada kuita press conference yavo ndobva matags awaya.
Wozudza vana vavo anashonza iwe it was even serious. I didn't really finish pizza. I love pizza.
You know, respect us. This is not on. This is not proper. I urge our colleagues in ZANU-PF to restrain themselves from the use of violence. We are non-violent, we are peaceful, but we are determined to protect the victory of President Nelson Chamisa and the victory of the people of Zimbabwe. It is not about President Nelson Chamisa. It is not about Promise Mkwananzo or Gladys Statue. It's about Zimbabwe. It's about the Zimbabweans. This is your time to stand and say, we want an accurate result of what transpired in these elections. I'm not going to waste much of your time because of the disturbance that have happened. I'll hand over to the chief election agent of the president to then give you in hard facts all where we are, where we are going. Then we'll conclude our press conference. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, members of the press. Now, what you have just experienced is such a shame. And it's quite unfortunate that we continue to come here to talk to you, to liaise with you, but our so like I was saying, what has just happened right in front of your eyes is what you would call a shameful thing. It is not what you would expect in a properly functioning democracy. What must be understood is that we are not here to announce election results. The law does not allow us to do that. The only reason we are here is to give the public an update of the current situation as it prevails. Now, you will know that the observers pronounced their verdict on their views of the conduct of the elections. The verdict, as they pronounced it yesterday, this does not come as a surprise to us. Everything that they said, despite and notwithstanding the attacks upon them, is something that we all witnessed. Now, let's go to the polling day. Who did not see that voting delayed in all the constituencies, especially in urban areas? Who did not witness fast exit poll desks at most of the polling stations, especially in the rural areas? Who did not witness the fact that at polling stations, some of them, as alluded to in the observer mission statements, there were no voters' rolls? Who did not witness the fact that at polling stations, ballot papers ran out during voting time? All that was unfolding right in front of the public. So, the verdict that was pronounced is something that did not come as a surprise to anybody. The world was watching, Zimbabweans were watching, even those who were complaining and getting angry on behalf of the state were watching. So what we come here to do is not really to go back to what has happened. What we come here to do is to make a clarion call on the electoral management body of Zimbabwe. Perhaps, after hearing that indictment by the observer missions, they might change their ways now that we have entered the stage of announcement of results, the stage of collation, verification of results. Now, you must know that the law allows political parties and anybody else the right to tabulate results on their own, to have comparative analysis of results on their own. So the CCC political party has been doing that. It has got its own source documents. Our election agents all over the country were collecting our own V11s, as we are entitled by law to do. We have that information. Like I said, as I opened, we are not here to announce election results. What we are here to tell you is that we know results. We have information on the results. We have our source documents to support our results. If the law allowed us, we would have been telling you the results. But the law does not. We will keep our result. We will continue with the effort to verify our own result. And we are hoping that as we do so, ZEC is also doing so. But what Zimbabwe expects from ZEC is not anything out of the ordinary. What Zimbabweans expect from ZEC is transparency. You recall that before this election, all that the CCC was calling for is transparency. We called for ZEC to give us the voters' roll. They played around, they didn't. We called on ZEC and asked that we be allowed to inspect the ballots. We were refused that opportunity. Now see what then happened. In some constituencies you would find that faces of candidates were mixed up. That would have been resolved if ZEC had allowed us to inspect the ballots before the voting day. That would not have been an issue. But it then caused a problem on election day. Because once you discover that there are mixed up faces on the ballots, you then have to stop the vote. You then have to go back and redo the ballot. That would have been avoided. In Bulawayo, you recall that there were some of our local authority candidates that were not appearing on the ballot. Again, that would have been resolved before the election if ZEC had been transparent. It allowed people and political parties to inspect the ballots. But now that we are entering this stage of vote collection, verification, and announcement of results, all that we call upon ZEC to do is to be transparent in that process, to be transparent in the collection of ballots, transparent in the tabulation, transparent in the verification. I'm happy that I've just received a call right now from ZEC Command Center that we must attend because the verification of presidential results is now starting. So I've sent an official who has already gone there. So we know these results. We know that we are preparing and set for a satisfactory outcome. We are happy with what we have so far. We will keep it to our chests, but we know and we are assuring our supporters that we are heading for good times. So everyone here must know that the CCC political party is not expecting anything else. It just expects transparency. It expects that the results that will be announced will be the results that reflect the will of the Zimbabwean people. We know that the election was flawed. You heard for yourself. But you didn't even have to wait for the observers to say it. You saw it for yourself. The flaws were so apparent and glaring, such that no one would miss them. But even regardless of that, the president sends me to just tell you that he is so honored. He is so happy that Zimbabweans, despite all the spanners thrown into the way, they withstood the hindrances. They stood and waited for their time to exercise their right to vote. And you will see, if eventually when the final results are announced, that effort that they put will be rewarded. So I want to thank you all. I want to keep emphasizing that we as the CCC political party, we are not interested in breaching the law. We will stick to the law. We will act according to law. We will act in terms of the Constitution that entitles us to take all the steps that we are currently taking. Of course, there are some things some aspects of the observer mission reports that we don't necessarily agree with. For instance, there is a finding that the election was generally peaceful and calm. But in our view, That is not the case. You saw that Chitsunge was murdered. You saw that Tongai Jake's house was petrol bombed. You saw a lot that has been happening. The assault on Honorable Gueru, the visuals that you continue to receive of people being attacked, blood strain. So we are not really happy and excited about that indictment on the election. In our view, the observers may have missed that. We forgive them because they came here for a very brief and restricted time. They may have missed some of these things. They may have missed some of these occurrences, especially in the deep areas of the country. But what we can tell you is that generally, the Observer Mission statement captures and resonates with what was transpiring on the ground. But we are still grateful that Zimbabweans have soldiered on. I know that people are anxious about results. They are anxious, they are waiting. People who stood in queues for long hours, old ladies, stood in long queues. They did not go home. They refused to give up. They refused to throw in the towel. Those people, we cannot disrespect what they did. We have to be respectful to the laws of the country, but we have to be respectful to what Zimbabweans did on the voting day. I want to thank you so much, for members of the media, for standing with us. You saw this occurrence. If it was not for you, things would have gotten worse. So thank you so much for that effort. We truly, truly appreciate it. And the President sends his gratitude to everyone, every Zimbabwean. You saw that there were those who were getting angry about the reports of the observers. But clearly, the issue is not about attacking individuals and personalities. The issue is to speak to the substance of the reports. What did the reports say? Did you want them to lie about what they saw in the country? Or you wanted them to tell the truth? We believe they told the truth. Some may disagree with us, they are right to do so. But we as a political party, we are happy that this indictment on what happened is what we expected. So thank you so much, and God bless you. God bless Zimbabwe.
Thank you, Advocate Kwaramba, for that announced presentation of the state of affairs. We will now invite questions. We are going to assist each other with the team in front here to tackle the questions. Yes. Just to introduce yourself first and the organization you're from.
My name is I want to know from the incident just happened. Have you made a police report?
I haven't yet made a police report. As you know, I just took a strategic retreat. I'm now back here. It's happening in the full glare of the public. We are going to proceed to make a formal police report as soon as this press conference is over. And we hope that the law will take its course.
Kufungira kwenyu muri kufunga kuti ndiva nani ava vanga vachida kukanganisa press conference yenyu uye why muri kufungira vanhu ivavo?
Hatisi kuziva kuti ndiva nani, asi kufungidzira kwedu ndekwekuti vasiri kuda kuti sarudzo dziannounsiwe muchokwadi. Vasiri kuda kuti vana veZimbabwe vave nefreedom of expression, kutaura zvavanoda kutaura sezvatiri kuita pano. Ndivo vega vangave vatuma vanhu ava kuzondiabducta kuti vaende nyika. Asi nekuda kwaMwari vakonewa, ende Mwari vacharamba vachitichengeta. Yes.
Clearly there is now a risk here on your presence. What strategies are you coming up with to make sure that your officials are safe?
Strategy, we can't say.
No. Are you, because clearly the disruption, you could have foreseen that kind of thing.
Yes.
And
we'll work to rectify that.
We could have done.
We have a strategy in place, not just for such incidences, but for protecting the vote. I think our main focus is to shepherd the vote so that we get accurate results and the winner is ushered in as the president. Again, let's not lose focus over this incident. I think the primary and core business is the electoral process. This has happened, we've seen it, we've tried to answer as many questions. Can we go to the state of affairs in terms of the electoral process? Yes.
What is the procedure exactly according to this document? So in the event that are you not accepting what I do?
Oh, okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with every participant in an election being upbeat and expecting victory. It is expected. In fact, that is the reason they would have entered the election anyway. They expect to win. So there's nothing wrong with us expressing that we feel that we will win. And there's nothing wrong with ZANU-PF thinking that they are winning. There's nothing wrong about that. But what we don't want to do now is to express a result. We cannot do that. The law does not allow us to do that. We do not anticipate losing. So that's the best I can say. Maybe before we go to the next question, I am actually receiving information that we have a lot of our agents across the country who are receiving calls from the Electoral Management Board calling them to come and sign for rectify various mistakes on voting material, such as the forms, the V11s, the V23B. As a party, we do not believe that the law allows for any form of reopening of ballots and recounting at this stage. If parties settled, signed and agreed that these are the results, those are the results that must be conveyed and transmitted to the command centers so that those results are read as they are. If it turns out that there's anyone who has a grievance about any outcomes, the law clearly lays out what you must do. Aggrieved parties have remedies in terms of the law. So we are calling upon those who are doing so, who are calling our agents to go back and rectify mistakes or to correct certain things on ballots, not to do so. They must stop doing that. It is part of what I was saying. It is part of the lack of transparency in the process. What will give confidence in electoral outcomes is the transparency with which the ballot is collected, is verified, is transmitted, and is accounted and announced. So that is what we expect. We would have thought that by now, ZEC would have known that transparency is the only way to go. So all this we continue to receive already will add more problems to an already flawed process as pronounced by the observers. Another question?
2018 produced a disputed result. Now, as things stand, do you foresee going the same route? And as the CCC, what we saw in 2018, the production of the V11s and everything, that's where the contestation is. Do you have the hard evidence if today you are going to the court and to produce those, like what you are saying now, that your agencies are being called to come and reach a side?
Okay, so there are certain bridges that we can't cross before we get there. But what I can tell you is that because the law entitles our agents to receive a V11, they did receive V11s. And it is on the basis of those V11s that we've also been carrying out a process of tabulation and verification. We will compare our results with those at ZEC, and we expect that the results must match. Whether the election will be disputed or not, it's something else. It's a bridge we can't cross now.
My name is Irwingo from NRTV. Some critics of the SADC preliminary report are saying that you had a hand in the report. What would be your reaction on that?
Well, firstly, there's no way we would have had a hand in that. We had no access to SADC or any other observer mission. The only access were public access meetings. Between those SADC missions, they would go and ask to see President Chamisa in the same way that they would meet President Mnangagwa. So there's no issue about that. about us having connived. But the question is not about who made who or who might have connived with who. The question is the substance of the reports. Do the reports contain inaccuracies or lies? That is the question that must exercise the electorate. That is the question that must be answered. We believe that everything that is contained in those reports unfolded in the public glare. No one missed it. Everyone saw it.
Okay, I think we'll take this. Thank you so much. You said the election was flawed. Do you accept the result if you win?
Well, let's not talk about that. Like, this is the kind of bridge that I'm saying, because a lot can happen, from now. You heard His Excellency President Goodluck Jonathan said an electoral process can go so well, and then something can happen right at the last minute, which can boomerang and change the course of everything. So let's not talk about accepting or not accepting results at this stage. That bridge, we should not cross it now. Thank you. Yes.
The challenges that you're facing now, and we know what just happened. Managed to field the labels, the more points that you have.
Yes, in our estimation, we were able to sufficiently fill all the places that needed to be filled in respect of deployment of election agents. We did very well in that regard. This is why we are confident about the source documents we are receiving from all over the country. This is also why we are confident about the possible outcome of this election, because we are relying on the information that we will be obtaining from those election agents who were all over the country. Well, given the situation I've explained to you right now, that some are being called back, I'm told that one of them has been carried by persons whom we are not so sure of. I can't confirm now. What we don't do here is to mislead the public. We only tell you the information that we would have verified, that we are sure about. There are certain things that we are not yet sure about, we're still verifying. We will tell you once we have verified that. But we can tell you that we will await the information we have collected. We will make sure that it's properly verified and tabulated, and in due season, you will know. Thank you.
Last one. Okay, I would like to ask, from the statistics that you verified, is it coming also from the strongholds of the ruling party?
It would be foolish of us to discount results that are favorable to our opponent. So everything that we are doing is taking into account those statistics. We knew the possible outcomes in those ruling party strongholds. We were anticipating them. We knew that we would improve there. If it had not been for the voter intimidation and coercion in the rural areas, I can assure you we would have surpassed the statistics that you are going to eventually receive. But because of, we all saw the role that was played by very spooky and shadowy organizations in those places. So we know those and we are taking them into account. We would be a foolish player if it was football. If you're playing against Messi or Ronaldo and you don't plan for that, it will be foolish for you to do that. So if we are playing an opponent that we know is strong at headers, we prepare for those headers. If we are playing an opponent that we know will tackle our strikers very vigorously, we will prepare for that. So that is what we had done. We had prepared for that, and we are not happy with the outcomes we are receiving from that. Believe me, but we have prepared for that, for those outcomes.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our press conference. We will keep you updated at various intervals as the process unfolds. Thank you very much.